So the last tutorial video did pretty well, and since you're clicking on these, I assume you want to get better at Supreme Commander 2, right? Which is why I wanted to get this video out there before I inevitably get bored of YouTube and go into your hibernation again. This video won't be about anything specific, but trust me when I say that this will be way more valuable than any cicada micro, air control or artillery micro tutorial that I could make. All the pros you currently see at the top of the leaderboards got there without any tutorials or guides. Even today I only have a couple tutorial videos at most that are worth watching. But even the best tutorial videos aren't as useful as you think. They can speed up the learning process, sure, but the biggest tip I can give is to just play the game. You're never going to improve without playing a crap ton of 1v1s and losing most of them. I want to give you my perspective as someone who's been playing competitively for 7 years, so you know exactly what you're getting into. Getting good is always going to have similar positives and similar negatives no matter what game you're playing, but you need to be ready for the fact that a small community size is going to amplify some of the negatives. If you're playing a game like StarCraft for example, you're going to have the beginners here at the bottom, your average players somewhere around here, and at the top you have people spending thousands of hours every year playing nothing but StarCraft. Supreme Commander 2 is exactly the same except for one small difference. On the left side, this pyramid is at least millions of players tall. On the right side, you've got like 1,000 players at most. Since you don't have millions of players between you and the top, it's not going to take long before you start running into people who play this game religiously. This also means that as you're slowly climbing this pyramid, you're going to be mostly hanging out with the same dozen people around your skill level. I was very lucky because when I started playing around 2015, I found myself in a group that would climb this pyramid at similar rates and most of us eventually reached the top. The best way to progress is to fight with or against people slightly better than you. If they're too strong, you won't understand why they're doing certain things and the games will be unbalanced, resulting in chaos. If they're too weak, you're not learning anything new and there's no incentive to improve. I think it's impossible to reach the top without finding somebody who'll share the journey with you. You need to ideally surround yourself with a group of friends with a similar skill level and push up this pyramid together. There's a lot of well-known players in the community right now that have thousands of hours but they're still average at best. They've been stuck on the same skill level for years and I think that's because they've never really had anyone to play against regularly. If you look at the leaderboards, almost all pros come in pairs. Nuclear Pizza and Polar Bears, Boxermelon and Vanity, Hope and Osmos, Alphahex and right. I think the biggest reason I never reached the number 1 spot is because my group of friends was only willing to play team games. You might feel like you're improving playing team games, but there's simply too many variables to pinpoint what's going wrong and you can always blame somebody else for your mistakes. 1v1s are the fastest way to get good, and if you can't tolerate losing, you don't have a chance reaching the top. You're going to lose hundreds of games before you even get close. The hardest and most important thing to do after every loss is to save the replay and watch it. Winning is fun, but you learn a lot more from losing even if it doesn't feel like it. Losing a 1v1 means you have flaws. There is nobody else you can blame. You were objectively weaker than your enemy and fixing these flaws is the only way to become stronger. You need to carefully search for the moment where it went wrong and learn from your mistakes. Do you think your opponent's strategy is overpowered? Why don't you try it yourself? I guarantee it's not going to be as easy as you think. Testing the builds of your competition is a great way to find their weaknesses. Avoid becoming biased and blaming all sorts of boogeymen for your shortcomings. There's a problem though. Factions. Every faction has its own set of strengths and weaknesses you need to figure out. And to make things worse, these advantages change depending on the map. Unfortunately, a lot of strategy games including Subcom reward you heavily for maining only one faction. Let's say that you and a friend start playing around the same time. You want to play all 3 factions equally, but your friend is only playing Aeon. Once you both reach, let's say, 900 hours, your friend has spent almost 900 hours perfecting Aeon and learning every counter they need to know, but you've actually only spent 300 hours perfecting each faction. In theory, whenever you duel your friend, he's going to have 3 times more experience even though you spent the same amount of time playing. You may have a better understanding of how the factions interact and what their strengths are, but that's completely irrelevant if your friend has seen pretty much everything and knows exactly how to react in every situation. That's why I recommend you try all factions for the first 100 hours, watch as many pro replays as you can and pick your favorite one. Once you've decided what faction you like playing the most, focus on it. While the top players may be picking random in casual games, the tournaments don't lie. Picking random puts you at a serious disadvantage. Other strategy games where this isn't true just means that all the factions are reskins of the same thing and all the skills from one faction transfer to the others. In SC2 that's only true for the basics and some of the micro. I think all 3 factions in SC2 are equal, but every now and then a very talented player pops up and for months people think their main faction is the best one. But the truth is that it doesn't matter. Don't let a losing streak convince you that your favorite faction is weak. The only thing that matters is not repeating the same mistakes. If you get stuck, download replays from tournaments and watch how the top players win. If you don't see your favorite faction in the finals, just look for older tournaments. I gotta shout out Steelspeaks again, because his videos are a great way to get some general ideas, but most of his videos aren't pro gameplay. There's a lot of casual replays on his channel, and the only sure way to know you're actually learning something valuable is to specifically search for tournament casts, finals or semifinals. Here are, in my opinion, the best players for each faction, so you know what names to search. J-Wix or Polar Bears for UEF, Iron Commander or Nuclear Pizza for Cybern, Foxtermelon or Vanity for Aeon. I think that Iron Commander is the strongest player at the moment. He live streams on Twitch quite often, and he's planning to start casting replays too. He's probably going to be your best resource for inspiration. So yeah, if I had to summarize this entire video, first, try to mostly play against people slightly more skilled. Second, learn from your mistakes, watch replays where you lost. And third, focus on one faction if possible. Don't get discouraged if you don't see immediate results. You'll have to lose a lot of games before you start winning, but that's the price you have to pay if you want to get good. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. What? You still haven't joined the biggest Supreme Commander 2 Discord in the world with over 1,000? 2,000? You have General, Hall of Fame, all the YouTube channels, all the YouTube videos, streaming, don't worry about that. Ask for some help, post some memes, send some replays, find a game, death chat. We even have a channel for all the Xbox Subcom 2 players. So what are you waiting for? Click the first link in the video description or just type Supreme Commander 2 in this thing that nobody will ever use. You should join now!